inside the orphanage building proper. This room would have been the dining room back during the orphanage era. Now, as you look around right now, it looks nothing like an orphanage, right? You're thinking, Eric, what are you talking about? It can't possibly be a dining room. Folks, use your imagination. There would have been long tables sitting in this room. The children had to sit here and eat. They weren't allowed to talk, and they had to finish their meal. The width is about the same, but the length would have been about twice what it is now. So if you can imagine that, it's a big dining room. Okay? But as you look behind me, what you're seeing today is what we call the Ghostly Images Showcase. This is very simple, guys. We put together ghost stories that we've collected throughout town over the years. We put them down on tape, and you can come sit in here and listen to them. On a hot July afternoon, you sit in the AC and listen to the ghost stories. But here's the thing. They're enhanced by sight and sound effects. So a lot of the things you see in here are props. For example, there's a fog machine back here that goes off at one of the times during the stories. The rocking chair rocks on its own to give the effect that there's a ghost in it. The cradle rocks back and forth. These are all props to enhance those stories. Right? However, there are 4 objects in this room that have a mind of their own. We're going to talk about them tonight and why they have a mind of their own. The first one, if you guys look in the corner, is that fireplace. The second one is a small table here with the books on it. The third, if you guys take a look to your far right behind these folks, just inside this cabinet is a mannequin. It's backlit. The fourth object, guys, is right here. Our creepy little friend here with the crazy eyes, that's the fourth object. Okay. Before we talk about this, though, as we came into this room tonight, I've noticed something odd about it. If you guys wouldn't mind, take a minute to look around, and if you see anything odd, call it out. The crooked pictures, okay. Anything else? The eyes in the picture, yeah. What do you think?
In them heads are skeletons.
Yeah, they are. There's a creepy picture of Lincoln back here on the floor. Okay.
Where?
Right there. It's a hand-drawn picture, but it's creepy looking.
Oh my god.
The wallpaper coming down. Okay. Guys, all great answers, all right? But here's what I've noticed about this room that you may not have. As we're sitting here right now, I suddenly realized that it is far too bright in here to tell a proper ghost story. So, to remedy that, we're going to set a better mood. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't turn off the light.
I'm not going to turn them all the way off. We're just going to dim them. There we go. All right. Guys, let's talk about the objects in this room. Okay? We're going to begin with the fireplace. 5 years ago, we officially opened this room for the ghost tours as being part of the tour route. And some strange things happened. That night we had every seat in here taken. We had a full group of people. In the middle of one of the guide's stories, the fireplace suddenly kicked on. The lights on would blink on and off for about 15 seconds. Now he thought this was odd because he knew that if this happens, there should be a ghost story that goes along with it. But no one heard a thing. He said he continued telling more stories. A few minutes later, he hears from behind him a loud crash. When he looks, the books on the table had completely fallen off. Again, he knew that was one of the props, and there should be a story that goes with it. But nobody heard a sound. When he finished his tour that night, he began to talk to some of the other tour guides and tell them what had happened. He said, you know, the books fell. The fireplace lit up. But what he remembered, they talked about Rosa Carmichael that night. And we're going to hear in just a second as well. But when he talked about Rosa Carmichael, an interesting thing happened. In this cabinet, and you're fine. In this cabinet is that mannequin we talked about, right? It's backlit. When he mentioned Rosa's name that night, that light would flicker on and off. But only when he talked about Rosa. He said it didn't happen before or even afterwards. Only when he spoke about her. The final thing that night, guys, remember our creepy little friend here? That night, the cat meowed. Now please remember, all these things we just spoke about are supposed to happen, but only when the showcase is active. What our tour guide didn't know was this. When he brought his group in here for the tour that night, there was no power for the showcase, but he had no way to know that. How did the fireplace kick on? Why did the books fall? Why did the cat meow? Interesting. Is anybody here fans of the ghost hunting shows that are on TV? Yeah. What's your guys' favorite?
Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures? Okay.
Go to
Has anybody seen the Ghost Adventures episode from Gettysburg?
Yeah.
I think so.
You think so?
yeah.
Seen the Ghost Hunters? Okay. We're going to talk about both in just a minute, folks. If you've seen the Ghost Adventures episode from Gettysburg,
They did the Jenny Wade house, right?
yes, they did. They did this building as well.
Okay.
Do you guys remember the evidence they collected in this building?
No.
Not off the top of my head.
Probably the one guy
Let me
here.
refresh your memories. As we go downstairs, folks, the cellar is beneath our feet. There's an area known as the pit, as it sits right back in this area. Think of it this way. It's about 12 feet long, 4 feet wide, and about 4 feet high. It's a solitary confinement cell. Zach is the leader of that group, right? He climbed in that pit with a digital voice recorder, and he sat there. He was able to collect 2 EVPs that night. You guys don't remember what they said?
No.
Okay. They're both very short and both very violent. One of them simply said, "Kill the girl." The other, just as violent, said, "Never killed again." And they were collected, guys, just beneath our feet in the cellar, in that area known as the pit.